Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys are having an awesome week. I did want to just jump on here really quick before I started making some dinner and chat with you guys a little bit about our ADHD and coming out with our ADHD and talking about our ADHD and who are the safe people that we can talk to our ADHD about and who are the folks that we maybe shouldn't talk to our ADHD about, because it's really kind of a sacred, worthy conversation, right? We don't go around talking to everybody about some of our innermost, deepest, darkest secrets. The catch with all of this is, if you do have ADHD, you might be definitely open and to oversharing, right? Like you're talking about your ADHD, or it's so easy to kind of interject it into a conversation because it's almost like a safe haven for us, okay? If you haven't joined me before, my name is Alyssa Payne. I'm based out of Central Ohio in the United States. I am an ADHD life coach with my certification in progress, so working on that certification. I'm also 28 years diagnosed with ADHD, have had an amazing journey, both medicated, unmedicated, and now I am a successful business owner. I do content creation, and of course, if you haven't hopped onto my channel to follow, please do. Fun edutainment and great relatable content. But today, again, I'm talking about your ADHD and when is it a good time to actually talk about it. And a lot of folks ask me, should I talk to my employer about this? And I think one of the things that, especially post-pandemic has done for us is really given us a platform to talk about mental health, to talk about some of our differences, right? And we have to remember that our ADHD diagnosis is a medical diagnosis, or whether you're not diagnosed, it's something that it goes under that medical umbrella, right? So technically it is protected here in the States by something called HIPAA, okay? So you don't necessarily have to share or disclose your ADHD diagnosis with anybody. And Duke, so it's one of those things and Duke is my dog. He loves to hop on and start chatting up a storm whenever I do. So, so again, choosing the safe people and places, situations to share your diagnosis, is something that should always be taken into consideration. So, what are the pros and cons of speaking to your employer about your ADHD? Well, first and foremost, a lot of times we like to be proactive. Maybe it's even in a job interview setting that you disclose that you have ADHD or that it's part of your journey, or perhaps we disclose certain traits that are great, sound good in an interview, for example, like multitasking. It sounds fantastic, and folks with ADHD can do it really well. So when you're having those conversations, do you come right out and say, "Hey, no, I have ADHD," or do you focus on some of the strengths that ADHD brings you? Okay, so when we talk to people, do we talk about our ADHD as a way to help empower this situation or give us some street cred, or do we use it as an excuse for not being able to perform up to the level of expectation? And then it's a fine line, and it's a conversation that can change with the audience that you're with. And furthermore, the folks that are closest to you, whether it be a spouse or your kids, or, your best friend, your BFF, or, again, your parents, somebody very close to you, sharing that diagnosis is going to be very, very different. And it also is going to be something that is going to be a little bit more impactful because it's on a personal level. When you're sharing your ADHD in a professional setting, you're sharing that information. It's personal information. in a professional setting, okay? And again, that it is medical here in the state, so it is protected by HIPAA, and which are privacy laws, health privacy laws. And so you don't have to disclose that information. But it's completely different when you are disclosing your diagnoses to your family members. And it's the type of thing, ADHD is chronic, it's not something that we necessarily ever grow out of. It is something that is going to stick with us for day in, day out until the day, we are done. And that is something that comes with acceptance. And when you share your diagnosis, especially with that are I don't know, when they're in that inner need the tools, and they might need an opportunity to explore what your diagnosis means for their life as well. What are some of the things that maybe they used to get on to you about all the time, and maybe it's like, oh man, I have, this awareness now that it was an ADHD thing. It's something that you couldn't control, or was something very difficult for you. I didn't mean to make you feel this particular way. And ultimately, on the alternate side, somebody learning of their ADHD, I did not know that some of my behaviors were exacerbated by my ADHD. So where can we learn together? Where can we grow together? So use that discernment. And again, there is no necessarily like, woe is me when it comes to an ADHD diagnosis. And hear me out with this. It can be incredibly devastating for folks to get that diagnosis, especially when their entire life they've been told something different, right? Like, you're depressed, you have anxiety, you're just overwhelmed, you just got mom brain, you just got everything else. Society is coming on you. Influencers are piling on you because they have it all together on their Pinterest boards and their Instagrams and everything else, and everybody else has it all together, right? And it overwhelms us to the point where we don't necessarily want to share anything with anybody else, because then it just confirms okay, I am a failure. There is something wrong with me. And that's not necessarily the mindset to have. It's more of, oh my goodness, this isn't necessarily an excuse. This is a reason why. And I think an excuse necessarily comes with, something that is trying to maybe make yourself look better for some reason. You know what I'm saying? It's like an excuse for being late. Well, my excuse is, I don't know. My excuse is, I had to get gas, and when I got in the car, I forgot I needed to get gas. Well, okay, that's also a reason why, but at the same time, if these things happen perpetually, is it impairing your life in any way, shape, and form? And how is your mismanagement of your ADHD symptoms affecting other people in your inner circle? And also, even if you don't disclose your diagnosis to an employer or somebody, within a colleague or something within a networking group, something, and that's not necessarily, it can affect your world, but not necessarily, I don't know. It's like that level 2, so to speak, level 2 to 3 of acquaintances, different things like that. If it's not affecting them, if it's not affecting, anything to do with what they're doing, then just keep your diagnosis to yourself. Unless you want it to be a conversation starter. I mean, and that's perfectly fine too. Not saying we have to keep our mouth shut. But it's also when you're having these conversations, when you are at a job, or when you are in a special interest group, or when you are something, within a tight knit group of people, it is your responsibility to do the job that you say you're going to do. Integrity is big with us, yo. And, if we say we're going to do something, by the time we're going to do it, we need to create those systems in order to do it. missing those deadlines, the end of all of it is not the time to say, oops, I have ADHD and I procrastinated, or I mismanaged my time, or I just took on more than I could bite off, or bit off more than I could chew. So, it's those things that we have to be responsible for our actions in that capacity. Again, just talking a little bit about, when we should talk about our ADHD diagnosis and when we should just kind of keep it to ourselves. So, my name's Alyssa Payne. You can catch me at conqueryouradhdchaos.com. I am working on some workshops on talking about more about ADHD, more about the process of accepting your ADHD, especially if you're an adult woman who has just been recently diagnosed with ADHD. Or if you're a young woman, like going through the transitions in life, graduating high school, graduating college, those are huge transitions. And little by little with each of those transitions, the support and the accountability kind of wavers off a little bit. And I've been through it. I can totally tell you from experience, the tools that I wish that I had had, and the support that I wish that I had had. Again, just hopping on here for a little bit. Thank you guys so much for joining. If there is anything that you need, my inbox is always open. But again, just wanted to talk a little bit about talking about our ADHD. And again, my inbox is always open. You are safe. You are loved. You are welcome here. Give my channel a follow. Catch me on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Bye.